Hello everyone, how's it going? I'm Matheus Beck, I'm a software QA engineer, and for this video I decided to try something new. We all know that there are many different testing frameworks out there, and I was curious about how they compare in terms of test execution speed. This video is not about deeply analyzing all aspects of these frameworks, so I'll just focus on one metric, speed. For this, I created this repository here on GitHub, and I'm going to compare four famous testing frameworks: Cypress, Selenium, Playwright, and Robot Framework. All the tests are going to be run in Google Chrome and also in parallel using GitHub Actions. So the testing scripts are all the same. I'm using this fake web page called Source Demo. It's a fake commerce where my test grabs a username here and pastes the password, authenticates into the application, clicks on add to cart on the first item of this list, then navigates to the cart, clicks on checkout, fill this information with some test data, and finally clicks on continue and then finish. Then all scripts are verified if this message successfully appears in the end. The structure is this one. All my tests are inside the tests folder, and I've created two config files, one for the robot framework in Python and one in JavaScript for all the other frameworks, because they all run over JavaScript. My GitHub Actions file is here, is this test.yaml, and on the workflow dispatch, I've created a variable called test runs. So it defines the number of time to run each test. Okay, here as you can see, I have the four testing frameworks configured in a matrix so they can be run in parallel. And before starting running the tests, I'm going to set up all the configuration necessary. I'm going to install all dependencies, everything that is required for Playwright, for example, for Python, and only after that, my test will execute each framework. What I have here is four testing scripts, one for each framework, and they are basically the same. Everything is inside a for loop, and they will be executed the number of times that I define on my variable through GitHub Actions. If this variable is not defined there, then it will default to 10 in all these scripts. As you can see here, they are pretty much the same. They are doing the same thing. They are just different because I'm using different testing frameworks, but at the end, they are configured to do the same thing. They are all running in Google Chrome, and all these variables here the selectors are coming from the test config file, as I mentioned. So let me open here. I can open both just to show. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same file. I have defined the test data and I've mapped all the selectors to be used on the test scripts using both JS and Python. After creating this script, I went here on Actions and I've run my workflows 5 times. The first time that I've run my workflow, I have defined the test run as run 1. So it just run that test once. As you can see here, if I open, for example, Cypress, go here on run Cypress tests, it will show 1 passing, okay? And if I do the same for any other framework like Playwright, I can see that the test only run once. Now, for the second time, I've selected the number of time to execute this as 10. So each framework is executing the test 10 times. Okay, so if I open here Cypress, you can see run Cypress test, 10 tests passing. Okay, and then I did this on the third time using 100 as my number of tests to be executed, and then 500, and finally 1000 times. Okay, and then I went to each of these executions and I've clicked here, and then I grab these values that represent the time that it took for each one of them to be executed. Okay, after that, created this Excel file here with this graphic, and I've put here all the times for each framework and the number of executions for each test. So as you can see here, running that test only once made my Robot framework to be the fastest one, and Cypress was the slowest one. Playwright was having a very similar time to Selenium, okay? But these values vary a lot when I increase the number of executions. So as you can see here, when I run it 10 times, Playwright became the fastest framework, followed by Robot, and then Cypress, and finally Selenium was the slowest one. And then I kept increasing this number. For 100 times these tests, they had a different behavior. As you can see, Playwright was still the fastest, followed by Selenium, and then Robot, and Cypress started to become the slowest framework. Okay, when I increase this a bit more to 500, we're starting to see a very big difference. Playwright was still the fastest one, but Cypress became very, very slow. As you can see here, Robot was taking double of time, then Playwright, and Cypress was taking 3 times the time of Selenium. And finally, when I run this with 1000 executions, Playwright took only 6 minutes, while Cypress took 32 minutes. Okay, Robot took double of the time, then Playwright, and Selenium was the second fastest. What can we conclude about this? Does that mean that Cypress is a bad framework and Playwright is the best framework? No. I'm just comparing them using one metric, which is speed. I've tried to be fair. I've tried to run them all in parallel using GitHub Actions in the same browser. But in a real world scenario, we wouldn't have one test being executed inside a loop 1000 times. We would have several tests, and I would be able to parallelize them, and then these numbers would decrease. Cypress wouldn't be that slow. What we can conclude here is that for this example, for this experience, Playwright was the fastest one and Cypress was the slowest, but Cypress is a still very good framework. It's very easy to use, it's scalable, has a very good and active community. For UI testing, for debugging, it's a great tool. But maybe if your testing suite is very, very, very large, maybe Cypress is not the best option for you. Playwright is definitely an excellent testing framework, as you can see here, but it will always depend on your company. What's the goal? For example, if your project was entirely written in Python, maybe Robot would be the best option for you. If your project is entirely in Java, maybe Selenium would be the best for you. But this was just an experiment, and it was very nice to see how they differ between each other. As we increase the number of executions, we're starting to see a completely different behavior from each testing framework. So that was it. Please feel free to go to this repository, try to see if something could be improved, something could be done differently. If you want to try this out, just clone the project. I've put instructions here on how to run the project. And that was it for this video. Thank you very much for watching this. If you like this video, please click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.